Yeah.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, outsiders of all ages, it is the Wednesday edition. Bring your beverages. Blake, the super producer, is here to gloat because he can pick games. The rest of us can't. We'll get to that part of it. Jeff Ketchum is going to join us at the top of the hour at 9 o'clock to talk National Signing Day. Texas had a very good one of those today. But speaking of very good, let's start with the very good presenting sponsor. The outside, and that is Poncho. I decided we'd throw up the old ditch chicken with Mr. Colt. Colt the Bird Dog. If you want one of those bad boys, if you want one of the short sleeves, if you want one of the great hoodies, if you want one of the great t-shirts, whatever, PonchoOutdoors.com. Mention Orange Bloods Live when you place that order. I'm going with a Poncho t-shirt tonight. They're too comfy. Bo's rocking a poncho, it looks like, tonight. Bo, would you like to make a special poncho presentation on the show tonight?
Here you go. Burnt orange in all its glory. And for our birthday boy, the even better burnt orange with the short sleeves. I am not going to go Marilyn Monroe singing to JFK, or maybe I will. Happy birthday, Mr. President. Or Blake Skaggs. Welcome to the show, Blake, and happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Blake.
You're doing the show on your 21st birthday? What a guy.
First drink for Blake.
Actually, I'm only 20, guys, so I'm drinking water.
That's exciting. That is exciting. Very nice. All right.
Should I leave it in, Blake, for the Georgia game, or should we finish the bottle after the Aggies?
Keep pouring.
You finished that damn bottle. What are you talking about?
Finishing the bottle. Bo and I are going. Looks like Bo and I are going brown water. Chance Mock, we going with some diet vodka up there? What are you doing?
I'm a loser today.
What the hell is diet vodka?
You know, vodka, slimming. Vodka, much more slimming than the beer, they say.
Bo, you let me not drink on my own, okay? You just drink for both of us down there.
I just want to know what diet vodka is because I need to invest in it.
Hell yeah. All vodka's diet. All vodka, 0 calories.
It's gluten-free. It's the gluten-free one, the potato one.
It's beautiful. Gluten-free vodka. Plus, Bo is drinking. What is that again tonight? Beatnik? What is it? Beatbox.
This is in honor of Jason, because sometimes you just try to out Whataburger somebody. Mm-hmm. He's going to have some crazy concoction, but I found this at the convenience store on Monday. It is a blue raspberry Beatbox.
Yeah.
11% alcohol by volume.
I was going to say, I'm familiar with the Beatbox. I've definitely got myself in trouble.
I don't know what that is. All right, Jason Dick, we'll give you the chance to match here. What are you drinking?
Well, first of all, let me pre-apologize because my Elon net is not performing so particularly well. So if I just fall and freeze or whatever, my bad. Blame the director of American Efficiency or whatever the fuck it's. But I am starting to get into the spirit, guys. It's December. It's beginning to look a lot like SEC championship time and Christmas. And so I have a Winter Wonderland Alani Nu energy beverage. Yeah. I don't know if it's going to taste like Christmas or if it's going to fill me with the excitement of an 8-year-old Jason Dick running down the stairs on Christmas morning to see what Santa Claus brought me. But let's see.
I just love that there's a flamingo on it. The most Christmassy of birds. All right. What do you got? How is it?
A Super Nintendo. Santa, I said Sega. Mortal Kombat doesn't have a blood code for the Super Nintendo.
All right, boys.
Fantastic.
I'm diving in. This is kind of scary, but
all right. Let us know.
Can't take it anymore.
It's in a cardboard box. Like there's something wrong with whoever made this shit.
Not as bad as slapping the bag.
You good? How is it?
Shit.
Uh-oh.
I don't know if they're going to put that on the logo.
My stomach off from the inside, but blue raspberry is pretty friendly.
Beatbox. Shit, that ain't bad.
Right.
There you go.
Put that right under. It's the best alcoholic beverage you can drink out of a cardboard box. Low edge.
It's like a juice box for kids. Like you send your kid to middle school with this, Minute Maid. This is for adults.
Before we get to our picks, ATX Bates says he'll make the wearing of the burnt orange shirt a little easier by getting a jellyfish for me on Saturday. I will be wearing the burnt orange poncho shirt for the game since I lost the bet to ATX Bates, but it sounds like he's going to buy me a jellyfish, so it'll all work out in the end. We appreciate.
That's a win-win.
That is
And
a win-win.
Rod Hartman, since you've said it twice, let me go Bills and go Bills.
It amazes me how many people on our chat line have actually succumbed to the beatbox at the 7-Eleven. Like, we're getting like blue raspberry is the worst flavor. Like,
Yeah, they're
what the hell is
right.
wrong with our fans?
They're telling you what the better flavor is. We also have a few people. I'll just give you one example. East Texas Forever is already in with a Go Army and 3 picks. If you want to make 3 picks for this week's games, the spread or over under, and if you can go 3-0, you get the poncho shirt of your choice. Again, Jeff Ketchum's coming up at 9, so we got to get our picks out of the way before that point. But before we get to the picks this week, let's go ahead and crown a regular season champion. It is Blake, the super producer. He's 3 games clear of everybody. He decimated the field. Well done, Blake. Well done.
Thank you. I'm just glad the final hit was Texas minus 5.5 against A&M.
Well, you know what? How rude. How rude of you.
Hey.
There he is. There's the champ. There's the guy, and he will start the picks this week. We're picking 6 games each this week, all the Power Fours, plus the other 2 championships that involve top 25 teams. So, Blake, let's start off. Here are your picks.
I might be zigging where some people are zagging on some of these games, but I'm taking Texas minus 2.5 revenge game. I like the over in the Tulane Army game. I really just can't pick against Army. I want to see a good game here. UNLV may be shocking to some, but outside of Ashton Genty, like Boise State's, and UNLV is a pretty tight-knit group. So plus 4.5 is intriguing there. I took that. Arizona State 2.5. Clemson 2.5. How about that one? Would be interesting to see what happens to the playoff rankings if Clemson wins that game. Then the same for Penn State plus 3.5, which I feel like nobody's on. But if I imagine if Penn State beats Oregon, Texas might be the number 1 seed.
Yeah. All right. So taking a couple of the dogs.
Blake. I won the first year. You won the second year. I want to bet you a beatbox on who does better this week. Are you willing to wager a beatbox?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
All right. And settle at your local 7-Eleven.
I really just want to try a beatbox more than anything.
Yeah, I think now everybody does, right? I think now everybody wants to.
Loser has to chug one of these amazing
Chug.
juice boxes in a cardboard container next week.
See, it looks like a Slim Fast.
Sounds
Is what
great.
it looks like. All right, there are Blake's.
Just make me slim. I drink a lot more of it.
There are Blake's picks. All right, it is time for my picks, and I admit it, I was stricken by the Blake Shakes. I got the Blake Shakes this week. He loves the over-unders. I'm going 3 unders and 3 favorites. Let's go Boise as a favorite. Let's go Tulane and Army with an under. Let's go under on the big – God, this is a boring weekend. Let's go under on Iowa State, Arizona State. Let's go under on Texas and Georgia. And let's go Oregon and SMU as favorites. I don't know why anybody is believing in Clemson. I believe in the Mustangs. Rhett Lashley, make me seem smart. Those are my picks as we get into the postseason version. All right, it is time for the dick picks. At least we tell you it's on the way. Jason Dick, what do you got?
These were solicited dick pics, okay? I did not send these against anyone's will. By the way, Chad, you know what they say about people who pick unders all the time, all right? Why do you hate fun, okay? Why do you hate?
Exactly. After looking at it in all of its glory, I'm depressed myself.
Yeah. It is. You're usually for like you can the over, you got to sweat it out all the way to the end. So that's sharp, I guess. All right, let's go here. Texas minus 2.5. I'm perplexed on this whole thing. Georgia was a favorite when they came to Austin. They won. Now we're playing in Atlanta. Texas is a favorite. Georgia refuses to play more than 1.5 good quarters per game, but I feel like after getting nearly pantsed last week by Georgia Tech, they're going to come ready to play. But Texas might be the best team in the country. So I'm going to lay Texas minus 2.5. I like the number. That's good. Oregon, You could put whatever number you want up there. I'm not betting Penn State, okay? I am not betting the mighty James Franklin's playing Oregon. So, yeah, give me Oregon minus 3.5. What else do I have? Oh, the Big 12 championship. Both of those teams, I got to tell you, I haven't watched a single snap of them in the entire season. So give me 2.5 free points with Iowa State. Let's do it. Clemson SMU, I'm sort of in the same position there. I don't really love the number. So just give me under 55.5 points. UNLV and Boise State, I'm going to take some points there, plus 4.5 as well. And then, can't believe we're even picking this one. What's going on here? Army, America, F yeah. Be all that you want to be. Be all that your parents envision you to be. Be all you can be. Or
join the Army.
At least be within 5 points of the green wave. You know, the first time I ever went to jail, guys, was in New Orleans the night before a Texas-Tulane game. Texas, were you on that team, Chance? Texas won 49-0 in the Superdome. I was on no sleep and pepper spray. So F Tulane. I don't ever want to hear from you again. Army's going to do it for me.
Wow, great story at the end of the picks. Okay, yeah, who could have predicted that? All right, it is Country Gorilla pick time. Bo Edge to tell you why we're all wrong and he's all right.
Well, because we're hitting the reinvent button. It's a whole new season. There's a chugging of a beatbox on the line, and I'm taking my title back. Shout out to my boys out at Grady Burris's house for the eventual fun that we're going to have when I get on the road tomorrow. We're going heavy on the favorites. Boise, come on. All they have is Ashton Genty. They played Oregon within a field goal. Who the hell does UNLV have? Their quarterback was named Kafka, and he quit for money. They don't have shit. Give me Boise. Give me Tulane. I love the Army. I love America. But sometimes, sometimes there's just a better team. And Army's not that good. Tulane runs them out of the gym. Fighting Matt Campbell's destroy the high school kid named Kenny Dillingham, even though he's a great story. His run comes to an end. And Texas wins by, I guess we got to predict scores later, but Texas wins. We'll just leave it at that and covers. Clemson, I'm only picking Clemson because it'd be funny as hell to watch Bama get bounced. Sorry, Mark Kaslas. But Clemson winning bounces Bama from the tournament. They don't belong in the tournament. They have 3 losses. So I'm rooting for Clemson just so Bama gets in, because I'd love to see the committee try to backpedal. Like, how do you come out? I want to see the committee say all this and then tell teams not to go to their conference championship. Did you see the interview with Rhett Lashley? It was one of the funnier things ever. It was all over Twitter, where he basically said, if we lose this game, every mid-market team from now on is going to get COVID when they're playing a conference championship game, because there's absolutely zero fucking point in playing them if any outcome of that game has you fall behind a 3-loss team. Basically daring the committee to keep them out if they lose. And plus SMU will buy their way into it with booger sugar and stacks of cash.
There it is.
And give me Oregon to beat Penn State because Penn State sucks.
There it is. Sounds like Bo and the SMU coach don't trust this committee at all.
Oh, I trust the committee.
There are Bo's pick. Oh, I don't believe you do at all. Let's finish out with Chance GPT, the Lala GPT, call C3PO and Twiggy, and hey, does that robot look like Matt Nordgren? Chance, what do you got?
Don't ever say that the robot looks like Matt Nordgren or that I look like Matt Nordgren or any.
You know I'm not wrong. You know that GPT robot did look like Nordgren.
It really did.
So so let me just say, I tried today. I downloaded and paid for the subscription for a new algorithm to try it for the playoffs.
Jeez. And
at least it was a better algorithm because it spit out the answer that said, we are not providing you with who to take picks because we're not responsible for how you. ChatGPT did not do that for me. ChatGPT led me down the wrong path. But now that is behind us, I'm doing my own thing. So I'm sticking with Bo's answer on the Oregon thing. I don't care what the number is. Oregon, got them. Boise State, I think Ashton Genty I have loved everything he's done this year. He has been so fun to watch, and he's done it with about 6 games worth of football because he sits out the rest of it, which makes it even more crazy. He's my favorite for the Heisman. I don't care what anybody says. I love the dude. And then ASU, I just don't. I'm sorry. I will never believe in, because I am stuck in an era where Iowa State was pitiful. And when we played them, it was the only thing good about it was that we got to go to cooler weather in October. That was literally the only thing, because it was a high school stadium. So I'm Arizona State. I'm going with the favorite in this one. I like Clemson. I do. I think that people should take note of what SMU's been able to do. They bought themselves into a big conference. They bought themselves a team that might make their way into a freaking playoff. Get ready to see how much money they're going to unload. They'll be able to compete in this new little world, and that's going to be a hell of an interesting deal. Tulane Army, I'm going the under. I think it's a snooze fest. And then that Texas UGA, I'm taking the under, and I'm taking the under. We'll get into the picks later. I'm taking the under because our defense is that damn good. That's why.
Yeah, that's kind of why I'm going under myself there, Chance. I agree with you there. Jason?
September 28th, 2002, in the Superdome, Chance Mock is 1 of 1 for 17 yards in a 49-0 victory over the Greenway.
Bro.
Yeah. But dude, your passer rating, 242.8. 242.8,
hey,
I think.
Hey, go look up my passer stats versus Rice in 03.
Uh-huh.
And they pulled me when I was on a heater. I had no incompletions, and they pulled me for Vince. So my record in a dome is great. I'd have done well playing for a dome.
8 of 8 for 159 yards, 2 touchdowns. Rushed it once for 2 yards. Your rating was 349.5, and they said, get your ass on the bench, Mock.
Damn.
I will buy you a beatbox. I'm really on this kick. They're going to be a new sponsor, I guess. If you can tell me who the one guy that caught it in the Tulane game was.
Oh,
yeah, you got that,
Jeffrey.
I don't have any way of checking it, so I owe you a beatbox.
You have that from you, Jason? Tony Jeffrey?
I don't have the play-by-play here.
You lied to me and been like Montrell Flowers. I'd been like, damn it.
You know what's really sad? I do miss, and God rest his soul, Bill Little would have been able to tell you who I threw it to, what side of the field it was on, and what color dress the lady in the front row was wearing 25 years ago.
That is true. That is true. All right, to Jason's comment about video games, ATX Bates, $4.99 super chat. Thank you, Bates. So my birthday is December 23rd. My mom used to get me the Sega console on my birthday, but I didn't get the games till Christmas. Dick move or just funny AF? Merry Christmas.
So you literally had 0 games? I mean, a super dick move.
It's
2 days, Bates. Like, are we supposed to feel bad for you? Like,
okay, well, flip it around though. Flip it around. Which would be more of a dick move? Would it be getting the games and not having a console to play it on? Yeah, I feel like the console, your mom could at least be like, okay, now go. You want the games? Go buy them. I got you the deal. Go take care of it.
Exactly. No, Bates, she was setting it up the way a parent should. She was giving you now you got to go work for the games, knowing that she had you taken care of for Christmas morning. That's just good mothering as far as I'm
It's not, you only get the games, now go play them at your friend's house.
Hey, Jason, here's Madden, NBA Jam. Here's all the good games. But they're sold out of the consoles.
That's not what you want. That is not the way you want it to happen. If you want to get your picks in, pick your 3 games. And if you go 3-0, you will get the poncho shirt of your choice. All right, I'm going to move Blake to right there. And we are going to get to the Texas game picks after we thank one of our great sponsors. The Outsiders is so fancy that the first 2 sponsor things you're going to see tonight are newfangled videos. Are you ready? Here comes video number 1. Covert Ford and a truck.
Covert Ford of Austin. All season we're bringing the football fun to you with unbeatable deals on our all-new Ford F-150s. Whether you're tailgating with friends or cruising to the big game, our powerful trucks are your perfect MVP. Come experience the rugged performance and cutting-edge features that make every drive an experience. Touchdown savings await at Covert Ford of Austin, a family tradition since 1909. CovertFord.com.
All right, in case you missed the new CFP, right now they're telling us that Georgia and Texas could have a Chapter 3 pretty easily. But we're talking Chapter 2 in Atlanta, Texas, and Georgia. Blake, we'll start with your pick. What happens?
I'm feeling good about this one, guys. I'm taking Texas 30-17. Quinn Ewers throws for 2 touchdowns and Arch throws for 1.
Ooh, 30-17. He's got an arch touchdown. So you think they're going to work those arch plays in, but now there's a pass option?
Oh, you bet. You bet.
Okay. Fair enough. All right. Blake is taking the Longhorns. I, too, will be taking the Longhorns. And like Chance, I feel the under because I trust the Texas defense. And I'm going to go with Blake's score, but I'm actually going to be taking 10 off of Texas from his. I'm going 20-17. I think it's a battle. I think it's a war. I think both these defenses will show up. And I think both these quarterbacks will not implode quite that much. There's going to be field goals both ways. It's going to be about red zone defense. I'm going 20-17 Texas. So that's the under and that much of a cover. Like it's like 2.5. So I think it's a slight cover. I'll go 20-17 Texas. Jason Dick.
Yeah, as I said in the picks there, I'm very confused on this game. Georgia is probably like the biggest surprise team of the entire season. I always kind of thought of them as like Alabama light, like accountability, do your job. And they have, and it seems like every game they just play one half, right? They're like, yeah, we're only going to play one half of football this week. And so is that what we're going to get on Saturday? I hope so. Which version of Quinn is going to be there? I don't know, but ultimately that Texas defense is nails, and Carson Beck likes throwing it to the other team. So give me Texas 27, Georgia 23. Did my internet crap out in that? Texas 27, Georgia.
Good. 27-23 for Jason Dick. All right. Bo Edge, your Longhorns and the Dogs. What happens the second time?
I think it's going to be an inverted version of what happened the first time. I think Georgia is a little tired. I think Texas may be a little tired after the battle against A&M too. I don't think this is going to be the defensive slugfest that everybody is envisioning because the coaches know each other too well. They know what they're trying to do, and they have some tired players. This is the end of the year, not the beginning. I got Texas 34-20, 34 because Auburn misses an extra point. And I got Texas storming out to the lead and then Georgia fighting their way back into it, but not getting home. The game ends. Here's my call because it would just be so awesome. A Taft pick six to end the game.
Oh, how about that? I like it. I also like, Bo, that you believe that A&M could have actually fatigued anyone. So I appreciate you even thinking that.
It was more Kentucky than A&M, and it's a long drive from Austin to College Station on a bus.
That's fair. Probably the drive and the more
than their charter jet. They had to take a dang yellow dog.
Yeah. Let's finish out with the Chance GPT pick. What happens in Atlanta, Chance?
I think this is where I try to unite our Lone Star community because I want this weekend for the Longhorns not only to deliver a victory to the University of Texas, but to the state of Texas and the Aggies as well in the form of a moral victory. I think the Longhorns win 24-13. I think they win by 11.
Okay.
They stay under. A&M can say they kept the game closer than Georgia did. Makes them feel better. I mean, they can claim some way that they're better than Georgia because they played a closer game than Georgia did. So there's their moral victory, and the Longhorns get an SEC championship, and on to the playoffs we go.
And then the Aggies will have a shirt for sale at their bookstore next week. It's going to be the state of Texas. It's going to say SEC champs in the middle. That's all they're going to do.
I hope y'all are proud of yourselves for
Yeah, your brethren are the ones that chant SEC every time Alabama wins or Georgia wins.
Yeah.
Or
I was
you because y'all don't win.
You do realize, fellas, I don't know how much time it's going to need to go by before we're in another SEC chant game here. You realize that, right? Whoever wins this game will chant SEC, period. It's going to happen.
So does that mean A&M will be chanting Big Ten soon? Because that's what they say on the one.
Yes,
I'm trying to talk about you and Georgia. Is what I'm trying to talk about. What are you doing? All right.
Do that all day. Like, this is more fun.
Okay, so Jeff Ketchum's going to join us here at 9, and we will be talking National Signing Day. Before that happens, why don't we pick our picker? Blake, how many pickers do you see? I see a big group of them.
Let's see. It looks like we got 6 of them in the chat.
Oh, there we go. Okay, we made 6 picks. It's six pickers. Anybody want this one? Jason Dick, would you like to pick between 1 and 6?
Why do I have to be in charge? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
You don't have to. I'll do it, or somebody else can do it.
Number 3 is my number. I always go lucky number 3.
Trace.
I think that's a good pick. That's a good pick. That's East Texas forever. Go on.
Texas forever. As luck would have it, the one I put up. East Texas forever says +5. We can make that 5 and a hook if we need to. East Texas, SMU. Taking the Mustangs like I did and taking Texas to lay those points against Georgia. East Texas forever. We're rooting for you. I'm specifically rooting for – I can handle all that, actually. As long as Army and Tulane goes under, you're good.
All it means is we have to give – if he wins, it means Texas covered, which means it was a good weekend, and I'm happy to be sending a poncho shirt his way.
There you go. East Texas forever. Best of luck on getting those picks. All right, so here's what we're going to do because I see that Mr. Ketchum is just about ready to join us. So, Blake, you're going to jump out. Ketchum's jumping in. We thank you for being on as always. Best of luck on your picks. Not that you ever need it, but we'll talk to you next week, brother.
Go get those birthday shots on 6th Street, Blake.
Yes. Happy birthday.
Thanks, guys.
Hold on, Blake. If you want to keep your spot, you need to start practicing your bear dick yell.
Yeah, do you have one of those?
Like that's how that.
Hang on. Let's see if we can do it. And remember, Ketchum is watching, so you got a lot of pressure. Give it to us. Let's go.
Bear dick.
You got to go roar.
I don't know if I can do the roar.
Oh, my God. So disappointing. All right. Get out of here, youngster. Happy birthday. Jeez, what are we doing here, fellas? All right, before we get Jeff Ketchum to talk some National Signing Day, here's another fancy video. Get ready. You've heard Chance talk about Arch Public. Now a fancy video is going to talk about Arch Public. Look out.
Really excited to work with Arch Public on this launch of the Bitcoin algorithm. In particular, I think Bitcoin's a great starting point. Arch Public actually gives all those retail traders an opportunity to buy Bitcoin right now in a way that they can't anywhere else.
Arch Public, the team has been incredible, and the product, looks amazing. And so I think people are going to be very happy and excited to be able to access that tool. The Arch Public team brings years of institutional experience for existing customers of Gemini and new ones.
There you have it. All right, let's talk some National Signing Day, shall we? We will bring in the hardest working man in the business today, and he doesn't just get the. He doesn't just get hardest working man. He gets this business right here. He gets Big Head on the Left business. He was up this morning doing National Signing Day, and he's closing the door with us tonight. Mr. Ketchum, how are you?
Hey, Ketch. I had so much fun watching you today because watching you squirm in your seat as the soccer match was going on and Fusi was doing the most unbelievably lame quote-unquote announcement in the history of ever. And you're like, I'm missing an entire half. And this is what's going on.
I'm still disgusted by Blake and that horrible bear dick effort.
Yes.
He's a youth. He's a youth.
There was no roar. It was half-hearted.
I know.
Bear dick. Roar!
The roar makes it.
Signing day, man. Put some heart into it.
Catch, I had somebody bring this back from Michigan just because of your bear dick. It's called Murr dick and it's fudge. Like next time, I literally have them get it. I'm giving it to you as a gift.
Just,
man.
It's like, Blake, they bring you on. They give you the platform. They ask for one thing. Really lean into it. Give us a good bear dig. Jason's right here. Blake, you deprived Jason Dick of. I'm disappointed.
Yeah. It was disappointing. Speaking of disappointment, Catch, before we talk about the good stuff, the Fusi announcement, as Chance said, was bizarre. But the fact of not getting Fusi to flip, what does it mean for Texas as they move forward?
Well, I think that this is a really good Texas recruiting class that was aiming with a couple of late additions, to maybe be one of the best recruiting classes in the history of the school. I don't think it's that. I think that, and I don't know that it's that if you add Justice Terry. I think you really needed to pull off a Terry Fusi combo. And then I think you're talking about maybe the best offensive tackle, plus maybe the best defensive tackle in the country added late, maybe 2 potential first-year starters. That kind of quality is what recruiting is all about. They didn't get that. It's still a recruiting class, depending on the service, ranks as high as number 1 in the country. I don't think it's that good. That's just my opinion. And I think that there are some holes in this class that make it, someone asked me to give it a grade, and I kind of give it, I don't mean to be funny, but I kind of give it like an 8.5 or a 9. But, I think that it doesn't have yet have the difference-making interior defensive lineman that they wanted. Although maybe Lance Jackson ends up being that guy in time. They didn't. The offensive line class is a major disappointment. So, it's not a 10, but it's really, really good. I mentioned today on our show that the goal every year, if you want to have one of the best 5 rosters in college football year in and year out, you need to sign at a minimum 6 or 7 super blue chip prospects, guys that are either 5 stars or high 4-star players. And if you do that every year, then you're going to have one of the top 5 rosters in college football, and it's going to put you in a position to compete for national championships. Texas accomplished that. They have 6 players in this class that are either unanimous super blue chips, which means they were rated that high by every single service, and they have 4 more that are consensus, which means at least 2 of the 4 major services ranked them as super blue chips. They have 3 other players that have been rated super blue chips by at least 1 service. The rankings aren't done. That's still evolving, but they've got 9 of their 24 players fall into that category. It's a good number. I think you'd like that consensus number to have another 1 or 2 more guys, and that's kind of what today was about. It didn't quite happen, but it's a really good class. Like Sarkisian said on Monday, he mentioned champagne problems on a yacht. And I kind of think that's what the Fusi and the ongoing Justice Terry conversation is. And I also think Texas is going to be very aggressive in the portal. And I think they feel like they have money earmarked and raised that was going to go to Fusi that now is available to go elsewhere. And I think it'll get spent.
Bo, what do you got?
So that was what I was going to ask you, Catch. It would seem to me strategically that we've seen 2 years of Sark's recruiting, and I think this trend will continue. They're going to go get the big bodies in the portal, because it seems to me following recruiting, as long as you've done it, and as long as I've followed your work and Orange Blood's work and everything, the biggest miss is on offensive and defensive linemen, because you don't know what their bodies are going to turn into when they're 17 and 18 versus when they become grown-ass men at 21, 22 years old. Some guys just don't mature at the level, or they were the biggest guy in the room, but then when they went up against bigger guys, they weren't as dominant. Seems like the better bet would go get juniors and seniors that can play and you have tape on, whereas the skill position players, you can't, no matter what, age doesn't make you run a 40 faster. Age doesn't make you catch better. Like size, strength can be taught in a weight room. Those elite athlete characteristics can't. It seems to me that that's Sark in their strategy. If they can't get a superstar offense or defensive tackle, they're just not going to take them. Like Fusi's a yes, but taking a mid-range guy just to fill out a class, they'd rather go fill it with a guy that was an all Big Ten player from Purdue or something. Is that where they're going with this?
I mean, I think they'd love to have the quality available to them in the portal that would allow them to do some big things. They're somewhat, they're at the if they don't tamper and they don't really help push some guys into the portal, which I'm an advocate for. Like, find the guys across the country that you're willing to give $1 million and maybe whisper to somebody that knows them, like, yo, I don't know what you're making, but you could make a lot more in the portal. And that's what guys have agents for. That's what this representation is. The conversations will have been had. But I can remember having a conversation with somebody at Texas last year, and they were like, you don't see a lot of big-time defensive tackles enter the portal because they don't need to. Those guys get found by NFL scouts. They don't have to leave their destinations to be found. They're so coveted that, you can be the Walker kid at Kentucky, and, he stayed, and he could have gone into the portal, but, there's a sense, I think, that they're taking care of him. He's going to be a first-round draft pick. He's already an all-SEC player. So I think, it'll be curious to see what happens in the portal. My stance for the last 12 to 18 months is that Texas needs to live in the gray area of the portal. They need to have a scouting network in place. They need to follow every kid from the state of Texas. Wherever they go, they need to know who are the prime candidates to whisper into someone's ear that, yo, come home and be our Andrew Makuba of this year. And, I think they're going to get some impact players. I think it would be impossible to talk about 2025 without knowing what they're going to do in the portal. And I think there is great anticipation that they're going to hit some home runs in the portal. Is it going to happen along the offensive line? I don't know what to expect from Kyle Flood. He has not been that guy, but someone put together what they thought might be a starting offensive line for 2025 on Orange Bloods earlier today. And it included Cole Hudson at center and Neto Yamuzalo at left guard. And I vomited in my mouth a little bit. Like, that's not, for a team that wants to win a national championship, that's not good enough. So, and I don't know that there are young players behind those guys that are ready to assume major roles. So I think there's an offensive line question next year for Texas, which is what made Fusi so valuable. They felt like whether it was on the left side or the right side, that guy might come in day one and kind of be what Kelvin Banks was 3 years ago, an instant starter. And I think on the defensive tackle front, kind of the same thing. One of the reasons why Justice Terry would be such an incredible ad is that you might be able to pencil him in for the next 3 years as an impact defensive line starter. I am, from what I've been told, Texas has made an incredibly large offer to Terry. It's larger than the offer that he has from Georgia. Someone joked with me earlier today that now they have more money to maybe entice Terry even more. Now, on one hand, that sounds like, yeah, do that. On the other hand, it sounds very much unlike Texas, because if you were already going to give this guy 1.5 and then you raised it to 1.8, everybody's watching. Everybody wants a piece. Colin Simmons might go, hey, the new market rate. Anthony Hill might say, hey, the new market rate is 1.8. Like, gimme. But I think Texas realizes that the marketplace has shifted. Guys like Joseph and Bachu are getting high six figures. Texas wasn't going to enter that game. I think they're very committed to, if we're going to spend money, we'll spend a ton on guys that we think are frontline starters, impact players. We're not going to do it with risks. And I think there are some schools that have no choice. Texas has a choice, and I think we'll begin to see that over the course of the next couple of weeks. Next Monday, the portal opens up, and, if anybody that's big time at all that enters the portal, I would expect Texas to be all over that.
Chancellor Jason, I got something?
Yeah. So, Jeff, I was talking to some people today about the recruiting process, and you look at this class, and there's a couple of them, and you can see things on Twitter, and you hear stuff, and you read some of you guys reporting, but as we talked about on Monday, I spent a lot of time on the phone, and back then it was calling rotary phones, and listening to voicemails from Roy Williams about molecules breaking up and magically reappearing in the form of words so that you could hear them on the other end of the line. It was crazy. But who would you say, in your opinion, who was kind of the ringleader of this class? Like who was the one that was out there getting people, that was pulling the class together saying we could make something special here?
I don't think there was one. I don't think, a lot of times it's the quarterback. I know that guys like Jonah Williams were active. That's a great question. And nobody ever emerged as the obvious guy. I think all of these guys kind of worked together. But there wasn't a ringleader of this bunch. I don't think there's an obvious guy from a personality standpoint that when they come in, you'll say, oh, well, that's the guy who's the leader of this class. Yeah. I think that remains to be seen. And maybe that played a part. Maybe there wasn't someone, there wasn't Vince Young in that 2002 class where it all just kind of comes together. There wasn't even like you, Chance. I mean, you were really active in I can remember who was with Sloan Thomas the morning after he committed. It wasn't anybody else in that 2000 class. It was you and Sloan at Dan's Hamburgers the next day. So I don't know who that was. Maybe it mattered. Maybe it didn't. It's a great class. Again, there are services that have Texas ranked as the #1 class in the country. So they did a lot right. And I think that it wasn't an issue, but yeah, that's a question I haven't been asked, weirdly, throughout this recruiting process. Nobody's asked for that. I don't know. I tell you what, I'm going to ask Duhamel in teams. I'm just going to ask him who he thinks the vocal ringleader and organizer was. Well, I'll see what he says.
And if you notice, and it's kind of organic, and which is what makes it neat, but the guys that are those ringleaders in recruiting end up being leaders in the locker room. Even if they don't turn out to be like the greatest stars in the world, and they may not evolve, but for whatever reason, those are the guys that kind of become the glue that holds classes together, if you will.
No, I know. And it's
Catch, let me spin that question a slightly different direction, because the quarterback in this year's class was KJ Lacey from Alabama, and is part of the reason, like with in-state recruiting, like the guys know each other, they travel to camps, they see each other a lot more. And I'm not saying Lacey wasn't at some of the other camps, but Lacey's from Tuscaloosa. The core of this class is from Texas, is having, and I can't think of his first name, but Raja Bell's son, who's the quarterback in next year's class, who's already committed and is a Texas boy. Is that more likely to transcend and have a clear Pied Piper of the class? Is it a state thing?
Maybe. I don't think always. I mean, Chris Sims was a pretty big Pied Piper, and he was from New Jersey. And, I think that Texas has had big-time quarterbacks from out of state that have been that guy, done that thing. They've had in-state quarterbacks that weren't that guy and didn't do that thing. In the NFL, guys don't talk about money. And so, if a guy's working on a deal, you don't judge, you don't comment, you don't go public and talk about someone else's business. That's kind of the golden rule. Anwar talks about it all the time in covering NFL locker rooms. You'll never hear a guy grumble about another player until that player perceives that another player's messing with his money. And I wonder in this NIL world that we live in now, where, look, Michael Fusi was I talked to a source earlier today that they felt like, I had a source tell me that he was shocked. They watched the same video that we did. They may have even been watching our show, but also watching the video. They were shocked. Shocked was the word that they used, because they felt like around 1:00 this afternoon, they had Michael Fusi in the bag. At the time of the announcement, there are people really close to that situation that are like, what the fuck is this? What is happening? What is this ceremony? what just happened to what we thought happened, you know, it happens. We see it in free agency in the NFL. When recruitments come down to finances, I think guys step away a little bit and they say, hey, we want you, we're going to recruit you, but you have to get what you got to get and do what you got to do. And I don't sense that players really begrudge other players for doing that. And I wonder if everybody is so respectful of this new dynamic in play, which is, hey, man, there's where you want to go, but then there's where you want to go who want to pay you the most. And Michael Fusi wanted to go to Oklahoma, and Texas was giving him a lot of business reasons to think about it. There's usually an obvious answer. And look, I just asked Jason the same question that you guys asked me. Jason's response was, quote, honestly, don't think there was one. Bo Barnes was probably the most active, but I don't think he carried a lot of weight. So, yeah, I think that maybe we're just going to see less of that because all these guys and so many decisions really were made late. And there were a lot of guys in this Texas recruiting class that in the last week were trying to hustle up more money. Josiah Sharma. And what do you tell that guy? Like, hey, stop it. Stop trying to get more money. That's not going to happen. No, the one thing that people misunderstand it, and I think they've guessed wrong about NIL, is they think that jealousy and envy will kick in, that these guys will look at each other and want what someone else was able to get. So far, that's not been a problem, really, from what I've noticed anywhere in the country, but certainly not in the Texas locker room. There are guys that are haves and guys that are have-nots. The have-nots want to be haves, but they don't want to be haves at the expense of guys that don't have or guys that do have. So Trevor Goosby's not making Kelvin Banks money right now in the NIL world, and he wasn't a big-time prospect. And he watched Brandon Baker probably get around $700,000 a year to come to Texas. And Trevor Goosby right now is like, look, I'm the next starting left tackle in all likelihood. I'm better than him. He's making this amount of money. I think the thought was that this would breed discontent. And from what I've picked up in the couple of years that this has all been happening, the Trevor Goosbys of the world don't look at Brandon Baker and judge him with discontent. They just want to get theirs too. And I just think in recruiting, the I just got to get mine too component of this has stripped down some of the old school ways that maybe recruiting classes are built, the way leadership will evolve from it. And maybe it'll be a little less organic in the sense that, you know, Chance is talking about guys would show up in recruiting classes, and he's right that roles in that class kind of are predetermined because of the alphas are the alphas, and they emerge and become leaders before they're ever on campus. And it feels like there's definitely a little bit less of that, which means when Sarkisian talks about culture, these guys won't enter with, you know, Chance's class and Vince's class. Those guys showed up and they would be around the veterans and say shit like, hey man, we came here to win a national championship and get you guys over the top. That's why we're here. We're here to change the culture. And I think maybe moving forward, it's a good thing that Sarkisian and this program have built the culture, because I think maybe the incoming guys are going to have to learn it from within. And maybe that's a good thing that so many of these guys are early enrollees. The first 6 to 9 months that they're there, they can really do a lot of watching, a lot of listening. And maybe that's the new way. And if you're Texas, at least you feel like you've got something in place to maybe compensate for the fact that the old reliable ways of building that very thing are a little bit different today.
Jason Dick, you got something for Catch?
Yeah, Catch, let me say again, I know this is not the platform to admit I'm not the biggest recruiting guy.
Hold on, Jason, hold on. Can you lean into – can I see that hat?
Awesomeness, isn't it?
Can you lean in? That's fucking awesome. What a great hat. Okay.
The face that it's
back out. I just wanted to see it up close.
I have a bit of a hat buying problem, and so yeah, this is the thing.
Well,
Yeah,
that was a good buy.
Thank you, man. Maybe I've seen too many of the highly touted recruits come in and not pan out. See Garrett Gilbert, maybe Quinn Ewers. And also a judge told me I'm not allowed to look at 17-year-olds on the internet anymore. Even guys. But I saw an interesting tweet.
Guys, let's be honest.
An interesting tweet from you today about big time guys versus just guys. And so sort of a macro question for you. Basically, you were saying like, if a guy, there's only 50 to 60 big time guys. And so a guy who might be ranked 100 could actually be closer in skill level to like 500 than he is to 10 or even 50. Take this wherever you like, but just sort of what does that translate to in terms of what percentage chance does this guy have to be a star if you're in the top 30 versus if you're number 100?
It's pretty simple, I think, to explain, but sometimes there's so much little nerdy math numbers into it that people just kind of drown it out. You think about a 5-star guy, the guys that I was talking about. There's a greater than 50% chance, 60, 70% chance that they end up becoming NFL players. And when these guys become NFL players, they usually are first round picks. They're second round, like they're top of the draft, right? So when their hit rates are that high, that hit rate includes being that level of an impact player. When you talk about anything, and the number 100 player in the country and the number 500 player in the country, the math is pretty similar. There's a greater than 75 to 80% chance that they won't hit. So instead of it being 75, 80, that they will not only hit, but they'll be potentially a guy whose name is called out in the first couple of days of the draft. Now you're talking about a guy with the same percentage who's almost certainly not going to hit. He's going to be a guy that transfers out. He's going to be a guy at best who maybe is a squad player. So you hit on one, instead of hitting out of 1 out of every 2 or 1 out of every 1.5, you're hitting out of 1 out of 5, 1 out of 6, 1 out of 7. If you're talking about a 3-star guy, that doesn't mean that they can't hit. I think sometimes people hear this and they think Ketch is saying the 3-stars suck. And it's like, no, I'm saying that 3-stars hit like 1 out of every 6 or 7 times. And I'll leave that up to you, whether or not you think that sucks or not. I'm simply telling you what the math says the value of these prospects are historically. Doesn't mean they can't. And when these guys hit, they usually do not come close to hitting at first or second round levels. So where most of the guys at the top, that's when they hit where they land. Most of the guys below that, when they hit, they're 4th round picks, they're 5th round picks, they're 6th round picks, they're 7th round picks. They're undrafted free agents who still make the NFL. And, there's a ton of value there. A lot of good players. Puno Ford was one of those kind of players. It's not to suggest that those guys aren't good and they can't be great, but statistically, when they become great, they're anomalies. Whereas opposed to the guys that are rated at the top, when they hit, it's the opposite. They're far from a statistical anomaly. They're kind of the expectation, right? It's the Kelvin Banks. It's the Ryan Williams. You just hit that. The Anthony Hill. It's the Malik Muhammad. You just start rattling off the names, and it's like, oh, yeah, Texas has a bunch of those guys, and they're all really good.
But, okay, so you just hit that because you get – that's why I love listening to you, because it gets my mind going. So I look at that, and I've always wondered this, and I'd love to hear your input on it, which is why I'm asking. So that's a stupid thing to say. But
it's not your first time. This ain't your
Ladies
first
and gentlemen,
chance.
Tonight, Chance Mock's brain will be speaking out loud before his mouth speaks.
But I watched. It was one of the things that became very interesting. I didn't understand until I got to college to watch it. And I wonder how much of a correlation is there to the actual skill level, or the fact that, and not that your head or anybody else in this business needs a bigger ego, but that you play kingmaker. Because when you start talking about guys at an early age and you dub them, sometimes their performance grade becomes, they get graded a little easier. They get given a little bit more grace with things. They get to college. Their names are mentioned in the award ceremonies. They're the ones that get the preseason awards. They're the SIDs. And it's almost like the gap is it's weird because it's almost like the media can create guys and it carries them all the way through. Agree or disagree?
No,
Is there a question?
I was like, was there a question in that? You know, no.
I'm wondering if there's a correlation between that 75 to 80% because those guys have the buzz that starts when they're sophomores, juniors in high school, seniors, and then you're watching them and then they get to college. Everybody just kind of expects it, and that buzz kind of creates in and of itself too.
No, and you make a really good point, and I think what's really interesting about all of this is that when I talk about historical hit rates, I start with the recruiting data that I have available to me started in 2002, and we move forward. So it's 2024 of the guys that have completed their cycles of collegiate play. We have almost 2 decades worth of data to sift through, which isn't insignificant, but it's also not like 100 years of data. But I think what's really interesting that I think you'll appreciate about this, Chance, is that I don't mean to call you old, Mr. Rotary Phone, but you came, I think about your Nike camp performance. And for those that don't know, when Chance went to the A&M Nike camp in what would have been the spring of '99, Chance puts together an athletic performance that was off the charts. He had like close to a 40-inch vertical. He ran in the 4.4s, if I'm not mistaken. I remember watching him that day, and it was a tremendous workout. I mean, and everything I thought about Chance as a prospect at that point elevated itself. It was like confirmed from an athletic standpoint that he had these kinds of tools. But back then, it was very exclusive. That Chance got in, there were a lot of other guys that at least warranted an opportunity to kind of be out there, and there wasn't social media. I remember when we found Nathan Vasher, Bobby Burton and I were watching film together, and we used to get this list, and this is the way the recruiting process used to work. You would subscribe to this video service. And in subscribing to the video service, and almost every college in the country would subscribe to the same video service, and they'd send you a packet. And in the packet, every player in the state of Texas would be rated from a 1 to a 6. And 1 would be like elite, 2 would be a little bit below that, and then you get to like a 3 or a 4 as a JUCO. I remember when we saw Nathan Vasher on film for the first time, we were like, who is this? He was incredible. We look into the packet, and his coach, who, by the way, lost his job, and then Barry Norton comes in, and Texarkana, Texas High ends up being pretty damn good for a long time. But his high school coach in Nathan Vasher's junior year rated him as a non-collegiate player. And there weren't camps for Nathan Vasher to go to disprove that. The difference today, and I know we can call them underwear Olympics, and there's only so much you can glean from a non-padded set of workouts. But when these guys go around the country and compete against each other, now if you live in Montana or if you live in Utah, Texas A&M got a borderline 5-star wide receiver commitment today out of Utah. 20 years ago, that kid's not on the radar. 20 years ago, some kid from Utah is actually a 2-star. And so all of this storytelling, Chance, is a way for me to say the process is infinitely more sophisticated today than it was back then. And why I bring all of that up is that so the process is evolving, the data is also evolving. Example, from 2002 through 2017, the state of Texas was a disaster at the wide receiver position. Every goddamn guy other than Des Bryant that was a big-time prospect that came through the state of Texas at the wide receiver position, they missed, left. The state of Texas, with its elite wide receivers, was hitting at about a 5% rate. Now, Roy doesn't count because Roy predates all of this, right? So I know there will be people who hear this and go, wait a minute, it wasn't just Des Bryant. No, I get it. Roy hit, but he was a 2000 guy. So it's a little bit before the data starts. But suddenly, out of just almost nowhere, it's Jalen Waddle, It is Garrett Wilson. It is Jackson Smith-Njigba. It is like one guy after another. And suddenly the numbers inside the state of Texas among elite prospects at that position look wildly different than the 15 years of data that preceded it. And so what ends up happening is it's all rolled in together right now. But I think the numbers that I'm providing are actually on the uptick. That when I say that, hey, historically 5-stars hit at a 60% rate, blah, 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 I think you're seeing those numbers increase because there's just so many more. There are no sleepers. There are, because some guys develop late and some guys play basketball and don't, a guy like Mike Evans didn't even play high school football until his senior year. So he flew under the radar a little bit. But if you're a football player and that's what you do, there are so many ways for you to be evaluated and seen, that the process is better today than it was 20 years ago. And I do think a lot of times when I talk about the math, in reality, the numbers are even stronger than I'm suggesting that they are, because I think the process, while still a pseudoscience, it's fine-tuned itself to such a degree that there are fewer misses based on talent than there were many years ago, when I can think about like the 2000 All-America team that Rivals took to Hawaii. And you were like one spot away from that. I think that was a Brock Berlin spot, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. And I think he stole it from you. Or maybe, who was the guy that loved his film?
It was Brock.
Is it Brock? Okay. The thing is, think about this, Chance. In 2024, you would have been on the same field throwing against Brock Berlin in person a dozen times. And
yeah, would have been better for me.
But we didn't have that back then. We might see you once. We might see you at a Nike camp, but not with anybody else like that. Today, it's just different. It's just, I don't mean to even say the word sophisticated, but it's just fine-tuned in a way that the in-person evaluation is so repetitive. I feel like some of these guys have been seen so many times, it's almost boring. And that wasn't the case for most of the last 20 years. So I think it's a better process than it's been. I always feel better about the top of my rankings than I did maybe even 20 years ago. But I do know that the math below the line is still that math. That hasn't changed. The low 4-stars, the 3-stars, they're still hitting at those same rates. So it's really easy to find the elite guys. It's a little harder to decide amongst the guys that aren't elite who might emerge so.
That is Jeff Ketchum. Check out all the stuff at orangebloods.com. The signing day extravaganza all day long today. Ketch, we're going to let you go get some rest.
Because you still got fun on Friday.
I have to write a post-game article on this basketball game.
Dude, you got stuff going on, I know. We appreciate you taking time, and I will talk to you tomorrow, sir. We appreciate you.
Bear Dick!
That was even better than Blake because he did nothing. Your little was better. Thank you, Cat. That's Jeff Ketchum with a little scratch on the way out. Oh my God! All right,
Jeff was amazing, but I actually felt bad because I know Chance and I were. I don't know if you all two were, but the chatters were just lining up funny comments about whether Jason was on Facebook Marketplace.
What are you talking about?
And I could see Chance giggling every single time because Jeff's awesome and he's got a ton of knowledge. But like the chats were taking my attention away from what he was saying.
Really? I couldn't tell. I couldn't tell that at all.
Maybe it was the beatbox. Austin Company.
Big Cheddar, you took Brock Berlin over Chance Mock. That's criminal malpractice. Yes, Big Cheddar, that is a bad move. Bad move. I see a couple super chats that we will get to before we do that. Mr. Bo Edge, let's see. Hang on. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. I can't. Why don't you tell them about this this new thing you found called Outsider Solutions?
Christmas solved. If you are an individual that has a spouse that you want to get something special for Christmas and you own a property, Outsider Solutions, they are your Santa Claus. Ben and Josh. Josh is the one I know. I don't know his father, Ben, but they are a brand new company, but they have a lot of experience in landscape solutions. They're not coming to mow your yard. They're coming to transform your yard. Major landscaping projects, irrigation, lighting, whatever you need to make your yard special. And now's the time. With the rain coming down right now, get it ready for the spring. Do your significant other a favor for Christmas. Call Outsider Solutions, 740-5831. Transform the front and backyard. Make it an oasis, and you'll be the hero for the year. You can get them a ring. That's great. Get a ring, get some clothes, get some that stuff's gone by the end of January. Get them a yard that they're happy to come home to every day. Give them that backyard with the pergola and the waters. Outsider Solutions. Amazing name, by the way. Outsider Solutions. Ben and Josh Bretts are the answer to your prayers. 740-5831. Call them.
There you go. We do love that name. Shout out to Outsider.
I mean, that's a match made in heaven.
It's fantastic.
When Chance comes back from getting his cat out of the shower, we need to ask him if he can tell the Chris Ricks story, because you've heard this one, right, Chance?
I believe I have. As soon as somebody made a reference, and I was like, "Is he talking?"
When he
about
went Brock Berlin, the actual answer is Chris Ricks, but I don't know if it's for public consumption.
Right. We will get the let's do that. We got a couple super chats to grab as well. Chance Mock, is there a Chris Ricks story that you could tell the people?
I didn't know if it was for public.
No,
I'll tell the Chris Ricks story. Let's tell it. It's getting late. We'll tell it another night. We'll save that one because it's a little bit longer in depth. There are so many names of which you guys will know that were involved in this shenanigans that it's kind of fun.
All right, we'll get to that at some point. I like that little tease for a future show. How about a $10 super chat from Jody Money? If you walked in on the street to the Fusi presser, there was no mystery to his choice. Did Fusi smell UT's O-line desperation and use them to get more money out of the school he always wanted? Jody, that was kind of, I think, the fear among Texas fans during the process. You are right about the presser, though. But I will say this, fellas. This is a technical, nerdy thing to say. But if you go look at his tweet announcing what he was going to do, he said, I'm going to be signing at 2 p.m. tomorrow in the cafeteria. He didn't say announce. He didn't say make my choice. He didn't say any of that. He said, I'm going to be signing. And it effectively turned into like a pro wrestling match signing where you know exactly what's going on because everything said OU, and he just signed it, closed the little book, and that was it. It was over. It was weird. It wasn't even an announcement, Chance. It was a signing, which for me, I'm like, if that's what you're going to do, then just tell everybody ahead of time, walk in an OU shirt, and it's no big deal. But people misinterpreted it.
Chad, do you wonder, did people misinterpret it, or do you wonder if it's an 18-year-old kid that's having a little fun and getting a bunch of press because he played with a word, like you just said? He said, I'll be signing. He didn't say I've got an announcement to make or anything. He said, I'll be signing, and he got a bunch of people to turn it on and watch.
But if you're going to play. I mean, and look, we were doing the show today. There was over 20,000 people.
I was one of the 20,000.
Watching our show as Ketch and I were getting ready for this thing. And all I would say, Chance, is, and everybody knows this, I love the show of all that. Love the drama. I would just tell Michael Fusi to do a better job. Just do a better job. If you're going to do all of that and be a part of it, give me a show, man.
Maybe that's why he's going
and give me a definitive moment. That's what I didn't get, Bo. Give me a definitive moment. Give me a Superman rip and OU. Give me something.
Did you see the kid that came out today? And I think he ended up going to Florida State or something, but he had on a Clemson shirt. But like he did like 3 shirt changes, and his whole family on the stage did the multiple shirt changes. I was like, that's too. Who was it? Do you remember when it started getting crazy? Like Lake Seastrunk got a little bit nuts, and then somebody
Lake
went
was good.
But if you remember, somebody went and did like a skydiving. Like They were skydiving, and then they pulled the flag out that they were going to go. Like, it started getting so bizarre.
It was so good. Somebody did a Walking Dead video with zombies, and they were knocking off zombies that had logos on it. Like, there's a lot of ways to do it. Michael Fusi never got started today. I was really disappointed. If you're that big of a badass, like, you need to play it up a little bit, Bo. Just give me something.
Oh, I love the fun and the drama, but there's a reason Fusi is going to Oklahoma, and I don't want to dog out a guy that may be here 2 years later because we pay him more money eventually. But that's a boring ass school, and you know what? If he wants to be that boring, he can end up there. We'll be fine. Can you pull up the $49.99 super chat, because we got a little chat war, and I need to make sure that Randy Jones is exonerated. Randy Jones has a degree from the University of Texas. He has emailed it to me before. Whoever's calling him a Sooner can kiss my fat ass. Randy Jones is a Longhorn.
Wow. Okay. And somebody
they were going to a little battle. That's one of the things I was reading. My catch was talking. They were like, "You're a Sooner." No, I'm not. Yes, you are. No, I'm not.
Wow. Okay.
Oh,
Thank you, Soap Company, for $49.99. We appreciate that. My goodness. Also, this one came in from Oscar. What's up, Oscar? $9.99. I haven't followed recruiting as much as usual this year, but it's the highest ranked class since I've followed recruiting, and it feels like everyone is so disappointed. So I don't know if that's the way to phrase it, Oscar. I do think it was first world problems, crying on a yacht, as Sark said it this week, champagne problems, whatever. This was a badass top 5 class that went, I think, as high as 3 in some people's minds. Some say it's still number 1 or 2, that you just wanted that a couple of just unbelievable finishes. And if they could have gotten Fusi and Justice Terry, it would be unbelievable. So Oscar, hang on, because Justice Terry is the number 1 defensive tackle in America. And Texas apparently is going all out. Friday, the disappointed people could turn pretty quickly.
Well, but I don't know why people would be disappointed. Again, I think the champagne on the boat, not on a boat, on a yacht, because people like me sit on a boat, but people at the University of Texas sit on yachts. I think a lot of it, though,
had to the University of Texas.
No, I'm talking about the ones that are writing these big checks, not me.
Right.
Not people sitting on the outside or working for hugs. No, I'm talking about
we're fishing for food.
We're fishing for all of it.
Yeah.
Oh, you completely derailed me, Bo. Damn you Steve. Oh, you killed me. Where was I going? CTE.
Here, I will say, Chance, I don't hang out on a yacht or a boat, but I did just on Facebook Marketplace find a Sega Genesis. Still works mostly. $45, and it comes with 5 games, including Mutant League football. So,
all right, you don't have to wait. All right, I remember where I was going with this.
Yeah,
I think a lot of the issue is we locked up all of our 5 stars early, and you get used to having those guys. You already feel like they're there, so there weren't the late, like A&M made a late push late, and they got a couple big guys, and you get the guy out of Utah. They got the quarterback that flipped over from Michigan, like. Those are but it comes late. I think when you've got guys that have been coming to games all season long, they've been showing up at all the games, they've been tweeting Texas stuff, they've been wearing orange Longhorn gloves in their high school games, and these are 5-star guys. You've already counted them in your bucket, and you don't have a new shiny toy. That's maybe why people aren't feeling as good about it.
And Chance, I was going to jump in there. Today, or in the last 2 days, we flipped Cade Phillips, a 5-star from LSU, who had Brian Kelly bitching about NIL money and how you can't get kids that want to come to your school if you don't have their biggest checkbook. Michael Terry, the number 1 rated athlete in the country from San Antonio, they commit, and it's with our fan base, it's almost like, and because we've won at recruiting for the last couple of years, from Arch Manning all the way down, we've delivered. So now it becomes fans expect to win every battle. So they focus on the one battle we didn't win with Michael Fusi, and they forget about the ones that we did. Like, Terry is a hell of a player from San Antonio. Cade Phillips is a guy that's going to be in our secondary and possibly playing next year. Lockett and French are 5-star receivers. Like, we lose. We just didn't win the last fight with Fusi, but that doesn't mean to me, so what? We got the guys we wanted.
Yeah, you're telling me it's funny because it's like people forget how excited they were when Jamie French announced that he was coming to Texas. Like that was a big day. That's this class. It's almost like they forget about that,
And I think, Chance, you were talking about it earlier, but part of it, and this is what I was trying to bring up with Ketch about the quarterback position, because that's where the focus starts. When Arch was the big guy, that class was looked at angelically because it had Arch in it. This year's class, and this is no knock on KJ Lacey, he's not a local kid. He's not a Texas kid. Most people aren't familiar with him, and he's from Tuscaloosa. But his best friend, or one of his best friends, is the next portal transfer, mark my words, in a year, Ryan Williams at Alabama. Everybody loves that guy, but he went to Alabama first. You don't think if Alabama doesn't make the playoff this year and kind of goes down another notch that Ryan Williams isn't looking to hit eject and go play with his buddy at Texas who's winning national championships or at least making the Final Four? Like, the thing is KJ Lacey is distant to most Texas fans. And without a quarterback, which is the position that you have to have on the field and in recruiting, people don't get as enamored with it. And honestly, with Diabell, he's not a huge name, even though he's the 10th rated prospect in the country by Rivals. And his dad was an NBA, pretty good player. Maybe, not to Jason Dick's basketball ability, but pretty good NBA player. People, they want the top of the ticket.
Well, let me ask you this, Bo. Let me ask you this, Jason. And Chad, you could, because you follow it probably more than all three of us. I personally, I want to go on the record saying I'm thrilled with what this class put together. Would y'all all say we agree this is you're thrilled to have this class, right?
A really good group. Oh yeah, really good group. Absolutely.
It's funny because it feels like almost like a damn funeral because a guy that he was never coming to Texas.
And again, it's also the thing, and Ketch set this up. It's about that offensive line group in general, and it's the fact that Banks is going to be gone.
I think it's more Williams. That's what caused the issue.
It looks right, exactly. The other tackle going to be gone too. Obviously, Gooseby just showed you a ton, in a big moment. But so then the idea would just be that there was a spot for Fusi, no doubt about it.
Let me spin that a different way, though, Ed. And I like the guy as a player, but he hasn't seen the field much for us yet. 2 years ago, Brandon Baker was Fusi. He was it's not like Fusi is number one in the class by all the services. He's a top 20 guy. He is one of the 2 or 3 best offensive linemen in the class, and he plays the tackle position. What do you think Brandon Baker was coming out of California 2 years ago? He was that guy. He hasn't seen the field. Gooseby, who you bring up, was a 3-star, I think, from Melissa, Texas.
Right.
If I'm not mistaken, Kelvin Banks was a 5-star. Cam Williams was not. Cam Williams was a low 4-star, I think, from Duncanville. Somebody could correct me and say I had too many beat boxes, but I only had one, and I got a pretty decent tolerance for alcohol. But the point is, offensive linemen, you can go get in the portal. I don't know the exact guy they're targeting, but there's a left tackle at another school right now that would take $1.5 million to come block for Arch Manning. There is an all-conference tackle, Big 10, Big 12, even an SEC guy. They will go find that guy, and they'll get him to come here because the Pied Piper is running the Arch Manning package next year. Jason's favorite guy isn't going to be just a once-in-a-while Tim Tebow character that runs it in. No, he's going to be the star, and you're going to want to be blocking for him because that has ramifications for the rest of your life. Yeah. If you're Arch Manning's protector guy, you don't think that carries into future gigs on podcasts and other things? We'll be able to go get offensive linemen wherever the hell we want. Defensive linemen may be an issue. Offensive linemen, there will be a line of 325-pound left tackles dying to come block for Arch Manning.
Yeah, you may be right. Whether it's a line of Michael Fusi's, we got to see. I mean, I think both things are true, Chance, to kind of get to your question. Both things can be true. This is a really good class. It's a top 5 class, but it's also disappointing that they didn't get Fusi. It just is. That's disappointing.
It can be. All I would say is I'm saying to people, don't let the disappointment in one kid, which to me was really false hope from the beginning because the kid just likes Oklahoma. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know this for a fact, but I have a feeling he actually probably took less money at Oklahoma than Texas would have ended up giving him. I think he wanted to be at Oklahoma.
I think you're right. But then the other little 1-2 punch coming up could be Friday and Saturday. What if Texas can get Justice Terry to flip? And if you don't know where it's from, it's Georgia.
Yep.
He is a Georgia kid. He is committed to Georgia. And if Texas flips him on Friday and then beats Georgia on Saturday for an SEC title.
And then let me put the cherry on top of your Sunday, Chad. And then ETN, who was Georgia's starting running back, or one of their two who already put his name in the portal, decides in a week and a half, yeah, I want to go to Texas. Like
by the way,
talking about the hat trick, go take all three.
What in the world?
Take their D tackle, take their soul in the championship game, and then take their starting running back. That's start going like this to the world.
How the hell does that story get out before the game? Why would ETN want that story out now? Like, you can't wait till after the game. You're whoever you are right after the game. Why cause an extra distraction getting ready for this game?
Well, if you watched the last game Georgia played, ETN wasn't in very much, if at all. Like, the running back they were using was not ETN, at least through the overtimes. Maybe something happened and he went to the portal because he was told to get your ass out of here. Like, I'm sorry, but that's a convenient excuse. But sometimes that's just the way it goes now. It's I didn't break up with you, you broke up with me. Like, the kid just said, I'm going to the portal because he was about to be kicked off the team.
Yeah. And then somebody's saying that he's also questionable for the game. I'm
not talking about the injury, but you don't announce before you have championship aspirations unless you've already been told there. No offense, it's a Jonte Cook situation.
Right.
Like, we have other guys at your position. Something transpired that, you know what, you're not going to screw up our locker room. You may be a good human being, whatever. Go find the portal.
Yeah. And by the way, our man Chris Bennett is saying it was a fake on-3 edit. I did see the on-3 thing. I don't know how verified or non-verified. There's been talk about the injury, and he's listed as questionable for the game. So I don't know. Not sure how real that thing was today, but it did get a lot of people's attention, especially when Texas ended up.
I think next Monday is going to be absolutely insane because there's going to be teams that are bounced from the playoffs that are expecting to be in the playoffs, and it's going to change. It's going to delay some guys. It's going to be an interesting Monday. This will be the first transfer portal after a 12-team playoff. So you're going to have a good sum of people going, we're out.
Well, that's true. And also to Richard's chat here, let's remember ETN, no matter whether it was a real or fake story, he can't be in the portal right now. He can't.
He's
Monday. Yeah. He officially can go in the portal on Monday, and we'll see what that is. But I think there are those out there that think that was
I think there's a special portal for Jackson Arnold, and Connor Wigman. They both are in a portal right now already because they don't have no games.
Yeah, there has been an announcement that those two guys are going to be in the portal. I'm sure there'll be so many teams lined up for those two.
I'm telling you what, I hope, and this sounds, I'm just being honest, I hope Connor Wegman, watching him walk out, and I don't know the story behind it or whatever, but that video of him and why people couldn't just let him have that moment in the stadium by himself and not put that out into the entire world. Like, that kid, I think, embraced everything that he wanted to be A&M's quarterback. He wanted to lead A&M to the next phase of whatever their football endeavors are. And I hate that. Like, that's the one thing I hate. These athletes, they put themselves out on social media. I get it. It's all, but that moment was him for one last time in his Aggie uniform, like taking a look at Kyle Field. And I think that was a very surreal moment. And the fact that it got shared on social media, I think sucks. I
think Connor Wegman's moment was a different moment from the photograph and all those things, but it was the Malik Murphy situation. I haven't met a Longhorn fan that isn't rooting for Malik Murphy at Duke. Like, or to go to the NFL. Like, I don't know anybody rooting against Malik Murphy. He did nothing wrong. He stepped in moments and did it right. Now, Connor was at a higher level as far as the cover of magazines and the expected starter. But Malik Murphy left Texas because there wasn't a spot. Because Arch Manning had taken the spot. Quinn Ewers was in the top spot, and everybody had kind of appointed Arch to be the next guy. And Malik, the coaches were real with Malik. If you want to go be a starting quarterback, you got to go ahead and – like, people dogged on Malik for leaving during the middle of a playoff run. Well, yeah, except for all the starting quarterback jobs at any school you want to play for would be gone by the time that championship run was over. You didn't want to derail the kid. Like, he went and found his job. And I think that's where Connor's at. And I think that's where Jackson Arnold's at. Like,
they need to be.
Go find your job at a place that wants you. And it doesn't mean that anything's wrong with the school or you. It just didn't work out. Like, Marcel Reed took the job. Now, whether that was the right decision or whether that's the long-term answer for Texas A&M, I would think that it was, in my opinion, I think it was the wrong answer because I don't think Reed is ready for primetime, nor do I think he ever will be. And I don't think Colin Klein has the offensive acumen to give Connor Wigman the offense that he should have had. I think he's actually a really good quarterback, and I think he will go somewhere else and do well. I think Jackson Arnold was a 5-star for a reason, and Brent Venables and that offensive staff degraded him into a piece of crap, and now he's going to go somewhere else and be a star. Because Billy Gabriel wasn't a star at Oklahoma. He's damn sure a star at Oregon. Like,
he's going to be a fighting Texas Aggie. He's going to wear number 11 at A&M.
I sure as hell hope he doesn't go to Texas A&M. I'd much rather him go to Mississippi State or Ole Miss or anywhere. I don't want to see him at A&M because then we got to play him. Because Jackson Arnold is really damn good. Connor Wigman was good. He just wasn't given enough time to grow into it.
He was put in a shit situation. Let's call it.
He was. And they played Notre Dame in that first game, and he played like ass. But you know what?
Terrible.
Notre Dame is a top 5 team for a reason. They aren't a bad football team.
Chad, what do you think Connor Wigman's high point at A&M was? Because I'm going to say when they misspelled his name on the season tickets.
Wow. I almost thought that was a serious question.
I would never ask a serious question.
The Outsiders brought to you by Poncho. Chance Mock, would you like to tell everybody about Prodigy Mortgage while I think about what I want to do to Jason Dick?
Yes, I'll tell the people about my guy Thad Lindsay and his crew over at Prodigy Mortgage. Look, we're getting towards the end of semesters. A lot of people like to try to get their moving done. They don't want kids having to move in the middle of school. And, you know, husbands and wives both take off and teachers are off from school. So it's a great time to move. Interest rates are coming down. We're probably about to go down another quarter of a point. But guess what? Thad and his crew, they'll get you taken care of. And what you need is you want to be able to get the closing done. It's a hassle. It's a pain. But when you got a partner like Thad and his crew, they get you across the goal line. They're like Arch, you know, when he comes in that package against A&M, and he might get hit by a DB, but by God, he's getting in the end zone. You're closing on that house. They're getting you funded. That's Thad Lindsay and his crew over at Prodigy Mortgage. Give them a shot. If you're looking, get pre-qualified before you go looking at homes, because when you have that pre-qualification letter in your hand, it puts you in a better position to negotiate, and that's where you want to be. Give my buddy Thad and his team a call. They'll get you all hooked up. Prodigy Mortgage.
All right, shout out to everybody in the Specs chat. I see over 1,100 people in the chat right now. We do appreciate you. One of them, Big Cheddar, sent a super chat. Thank you for the 20 spot, Big Cheddar. Great show as always. I so wish I could make it to TCH Social this weekend, but sadly I can't make it. I hope y'all have them next year. I do too, Big Cheddar. Anyway, use this 20 to buy 20 Stellas for the first 20 OBs at TCH on Saturday. Hook 'em. Big Cheddar, that is a good reminder because, yes, those $1 draft does include Stella, $2 jellyfish. My man ATX Bates says he's going to buy me a jellyfish this weekend. And there you go. Big Cheddar, we will see. If any, here's what we'll do. Outsider crew, I will bring $20. In fact, I may go to the bank and get me a stripper quality stack of ones, 21s. You just tell me you were listening to the Outsiders and say, I want my $1 Stella, my Big Cheddar Stella. And I'll hand you a dollar bill. How about that? There's your deal.
Wow.
There it is.
I have to walk into Cross Bank tomorrow on my way to Marble Falls for the golf tournament that I'm playing in, and get $100 worth of $1 bills.
Do you really?
You know how odd you feel, because I've done this 2 years in a row, where you walk into the teller and you're like, I need $100 in ones, and they're looking at you like, you fucking perverted son of a bitch. And I'm like,
so weird.
no, I'm going to play in a golf tournament where we bet dollars on each shot. No. They look at you like you're going straight to the jiggly joint, no matter what you say.
He said the jiggly joint.
One of my favorite weird wedding stories is that I went to a wedding where one of the groomsmen paid for all the groomsmen to eat with 31 $1 bills because he was dating a stripper at the time. So he needed the money, and she just kept handing him ones. He had 31 $1 bills to pay the tab.
By the way, this is done, and I will support Beatbox, who I've been told in the chat is a local Austin company.
Oh.
I'm ready to try the next flavor because Blue Raspberry was decent.
I think Bo might have found his weird box girly drink tonight. How about that?
Well, I mean, I drink probably more than a human should, but as Chance is known for 25 years.
I don't know about probably. Yeah, you should take the probably out. It makes you sound wishy-washy. You drink more than a human should. Yeah.
Well, no. Hold on. Let the record reflect that other than this show, I don't drink during the week. I drink on Wednesdays, Saturdays, and Fridays and Saturdays. I don't drink on Sundays. I don't drink on Mondays. I don't drink on Tuesdays. I don't drink on Thursdays.
I've seen you on a Monday occasionally.
So basically, what you're saying
Super Cooper is out. Super Cooper's different. Okay, there's an exception to the rule.
So what you're saying is you don't do this show for the content. You don't do this show for the camaraderie. You do it so you can drink on a weeknight.
No, I'm not an alcoholic that put together this show so I could drink on Wednesday nights.
I think that would be awesome if it was true.
Yeah.
That would be fucking badass.
Guys, we've expanded to 7 days a week. Okay.
We're about to start doing a show every damn night. If that was,
we're going to do an afternoon show and a nightcap.
Oh my God.
Next Bo's going to put together one of those poker clubs just for a reason. That's going to be Tuesday night's thing.
An occasional hair of the dog morning show.
You guys are assholes. That's all I'm going to say.
That is not true.
I'm going out to my friend Grady's 53rd birthday party in Marble Falls, where I am the captain of Team 20% More Fun, and we'll have to get off the air as to why we're 20% more fun. But my team is 2-0 in the history of this tournament, and to the other team, who should be called Team You Suck, Team 2-0% More Fun is coming for you. I'm getting in my truck at 10 a.m. tomorrow.
Hey, speaking of assholes, I have some high-level dick analysis that you guys are going to hate that I have to do before we get out of here. Can I have a moment, gentlemen? Yes.
What a setup.
So I did some deep dick research this afternoon. Slow day at the poker tables. And I will tell you that I looked at Texas's easiest path to the national championship. Now, if they beat Georgia on Saturday and get the bye, the most likely path would be bye week, then either Notre Dame or Bama. By the way, I don't know how you think Bama's not going to make the playoff, though.
Then Georgia's going to beat SMU, and then Bama's going to be on the outside looking in.
Then Georgia again, then Oregon in the national championship game. And I looked up projected point spreads for all of these and the implied win percentage. If that happens, it's a 19.7% chance that Texas wins the national championship. If they don't win on Saturday, you see where this is going?
Yes.
If Texas falls to the 6th seed, they likely have to play Bama, SMU, Georgia, Oregon, which based on projected win probabilities, only a 15.3% chance of winning that.
I thought you were about to cook up to you should lose to Georgia on purpose. That's not what you were doing, though.
But if Texas holds on to the 5 seed, and then they get to play Arizona State, Boise, Oregon, Georgia, 23.5% chance of winning the national championship, more likely than if they get the bye. So what I'm saying is find a way to lose the game, but hold on to the 5 seed.
I want you to explain to me how Notre Dame doesn't get the 5 seed in this scenario.
I put an if in there. Okay, I said if. All right,
Right now, Notre Dame has the 6, correct? Hang on, let's look at it. Notre Dame has the 6, right? Yeah, they're hosting Bama in the 6-11 game. Right now, Penn State has the 5, but I guess you'd be saying Penn State would lose
and Notre Dame takes their spot. There's no way Texas is going from 2 to 5. They're going from 2 to 6.
Yeah. Okay, I see that now. Assuming Oregon handles their business, Notre Dame will take that spot, and it'll be Notre Dame.
It's going to be a one-loss Notre Dame team, and yes, it was a really, really terrible loss to Northern Illinois, but it was the second week of the season.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Hey, Bo, while this is up, you are my favorite bracket conspiracy guy, so I need you look at this, and I'm going to ask you a question, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I need to know what happens if Clemson, UNLV, and Boise all win, and for that matter, let's say Arizona State. No. Let's say
I don't know how Boise and UNLV both win the game they're playing.
No. Hold on. Stop. No. I messed that one up. I should have gone Big 12.
See, that's proof I'm sober.
That's very good. That's well done. You caught me. You caught me on that one.
Officer, I'm sober. I swear I know who's playing in the Mountain West Championship game.
If Clemson,
the line is 4.5, fucker.
Yeah, if Clemson and Boise and let's say Iowa State all win close, who doesn't get the bye?
So Clemson beats
SMU close.
Okay. Boise wins or loses?
Boise wins close.
And who's the
Iowa
State?
Iowa State beats Arizona State.
It's got to be Iowa State.
Iowa State would be the 12 seed. Boise State would keep their spot at the 4 because they're not moving from that 4 line unless they lose the game.
Okay.
I'm telling you, Alabama out. SMU, Clemson takes the 11 spot. Indiana moves to 9, and SMU is sitting in the 10 hole.
Okay, so Clemson would have the bye, and who did we say the Big 12 would still not get a bye?
No, Clemson would get the bye.
That's what I just said, officer.
Yeah, they'd have to, right? The 4th team to get that bye would be Clemson. Then they'd go all the way up to a bye.
If Iowa State beat Arizona State, I think Clemson gets the bye and Arizona State's out. I mean, obviously out, but I think between Iowa State and Clemson, they're going to put Iowa State ahead of Clemson.
What if Boise State loses close?
Jesus Christ. It's like a calculus problem. I feel like Zach Galifianakis in The Hangover with a bunch of numbers floating around my head.
I'm just wondering. I just wonder what happens. What happens if total chaos?
Here's all I know.
Okay, so if Boise State loses, they're out. Did SMU also lose, or are there other scenarios here?
All right, let me give you the best scenario Texas has. Get in the tournament. If you're the best team, you're going to have to play everybody.
And apparently the basketball game's a really good game with like 2 minutes left, so we might want to let people go watch it.
Yeah.
Oh, is it? All right. Fair enough. Okay.
I don't even know what channel it's on, but I'm just saying.
We can do that. All right. Well, then, hold on real quick. I was told, let's just remind them real quick before we get out of here. Last Stand hats, True Fans brand. They got all kinds of stuff, including the UTSA stuff. Flat bill, curve bill, flat bill. They got all that stuff for you. And all the Texas stuff.
Give me, Chad.
Let me put the Texas stuff up because I know the Longhorn fans are going to say, look at all this cool Texas stuff. They have one that says El Bevo. Look at that. El Bevo. White, beige. It's fantastic. Look at all this cool stuff.
Chad.
Yeah.
After Last Stand, you got to do Oscar's Super Chat where you do the Aggie Warham and Lou Holtzwood.
I will get it. Yes. Yeah. I will get to that. Look at that. Little fancy script and then Gus. And then a fancy. And then this is the Gus. I like that. All right. It's very nice. I like it. I like it a lot. All right. Last Stand hat. The True Fans brand, and they do sponsor the Outsiders hat. If you don't have one of these, you should get them. There's like 12 different color design or color scheme choices for you for the Outsiders hat. Get that if you like. Bo's got the black one there. Look at that. There's all
it's
kinds
white.
of stuff.
It's black. It's like the Michael Jackson. It doesn't matter if you're black or white. We got black. Chad's got white.
Oh, you will love the hat, whether you're black or white, and whether it's black or white. All right, let me just scan real quick for super chats. We just have this one more. Oscar super chat, For $9.99, Chad, go ahead and sing the war hymn as Lou Holtz, or don't. Hullabaloo, A&M sucks, or something like that. Except you, Chad, you're dope. I appreciate that. Would be a weird one. Hullabaloo, rough stuff, real stuff, and we don't want the field goal. Yeah, there you go. That is it. You know, playing them back in the day, those unbelievable things. RC Slocum showed up with no offense, and I showed up with a pretty clunky offense. It was just a bunch of defense. That's really all it was. It was third down as far as I can see, boys. It's just third down, fourth down, punt, third down, fourth down, punt. Then we shook hands and went home. It was unbelievable. That's some of the worst football you've ever seen on first and second down. Don't send that home to mama. All right. Thank you for liking and subscribing and getting your notifications. We are the Outsiders, brought to you by Poncho. Bo, what do you got?
I just wanted to thank all the Outsiders listeners. Tonight we went over 250,000 views.
Hey, he didn't say downloads.
I didn't. I'm learning. I'm evolving.
Bo is an evolved YouTube star, is what he is. Over 250,000 views as of tonight. We are brought to you by the good folks at Poncho. Ain't nothing wrong with Colt fishing in that badass Poncho shirt. They've got all kinds of cool designs. Go check it out. They've even got one called the Ditch Chicken that Colt makes look good somehow. Colt and that bird dog can even make that one look excellent. Whatever you need, whatever you got, the flannels, the hoodies, the T-shirts. Bo's got one on. Jason's wearing one of the hoodies. I like to throw those on. You just need an extra layer. Just throw that on. Josh Allen is not wearing a poncho in the snow, I don't think, but he is reaching.
He's got a poncho on underneath the jersey.
He has a poncho on under the jersey. That's what it is. All right. So everybody enjoy the SEC title game. We'll be back on Monday to review what happens. And maybe we're talking about Texas not only in the playoff, but with a nice bye. How about 24? How about 24 or 25 days off? That's what Texas will have if they beat Georgia. Talk about resting your ankle. Damn.
And your liver.
My goodness.
Not mine.
Change your liver.
I'm going to be in Kingsland. Boom!
Bo's going to go play golf, and he might need to change his liver by the time it's all said and done. Until Monday night at 8:30, we are the Outsiders. We have our original livers, as far as I know.